Welcome to MacStories Unwind, a weekly recap of everything MacStories and more. I'm John Voorhees, and with me is Federico Vitici. Hey, Federico.
Hello, John Voorhees. How are you?
I'm doing all right. It's it's almost the weekend, and we've
Almost
got
a weekend.
almost the weekend. You and I are still on the clock. We're working hard here, doing the professional podcasting thing that we do more and more often these days. It seems like, but we had a big week, right? We had a lot of. It's been such a long, we had such a long fall of announcements from Apple, and it's just kind of spilled into the early winter. I mean, it's nearly Christmas here, and
Are you trying to tell me that you're tired, John? Are you exhausted?
I'm a little. It's been a long week. But we had, we got the AirPods Max this week, and
Yes.
so we have some stories about that to cover today. We're going to talk a little bit about Fitness Plus. We're going to talk about some shortcuts that you worked on. We're going to talk about a HomeKit device that I reviewed and a whole bunch more. So why don't we dive in, and let me ask you, Federico, did you order AirPods Max? If so, what color and when are they going to show up at your house?
I guess I'm going to answer your question with another question. Do you know me, John?
I do. I also know the answer, but this is for the entertainment aspect of the show.
Right. This is for the show. Okay. So yes, John, I can confirm I did put in an order for the AirPods Max, and they're coming next week. Right now, I still haven't been charged. My credit card hasn't been charged yet. So it's still saying they're coming in a week on Friday the 18th, which is
the 18th. All right.
kind of weird because I literally put in an order on the Italian Apple Store as soon as it went live, even before reading the product page, which is not something that I usually do. It's a dangerous move because then maybe you read the details and you're like, oh no, I now regret having put in an order. But no, I don't regret my decision. But yes, I got them. They're coming next week. I hope sooner than Friday. And I got them in space gray because let me tell you, I do have some experience with headphones of different colors other than black or dark gray, and they get dirty and boring after a short period of time, at least for me.
Well, that was my concern, especially I kind of like the silver ones with the white headband, and even the colors are all pretty light colors. I was a little concerned that they would start looking dingy after a while.
Yeah, I just prefer dark headphones. This sort of I also have dark hair, so they kind of blend in a little better. And
Sure.
I don't know. I've had like silver and sort of beige headphones in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. They get kind of boring. So I got them in space gray, and they're coming next week. So AirPods Max. I'm really interested in this product because we've been waiting such a long time for Apple to make their own AirPods branded over-ear headphones. And these are finally real. They're slightly different from the rumors that we discussed a while back. But they're also kind of in line with what we're expecting. So Apple made AirPods branded over-ear headphones. These work with Bluetooth, of course, but they also come with the H1 special audio chip that Apple also makes for AirPods Pro. And it's not just one H1 chip either. There's one of them in each ear cup. Speaking of the ear cups, these headphones have a really peculiar and unique design. Apple created this special stainless steel band with telescopic arms that they extend into the ear cups, making it in theory, easy for you to adjust the vertical position of the ear cups on your head. And the headband is made of stainless steel. However, in the middle of the band, you will see this breathable mesh that supposedly is going to make the headphones a little more comfortable to wear and sort of relieving you of that feeling, that pressure on your head, because these are not lightweight headphones. Due to the fact that they're made of stainless steel and the ear cups are made of brushed aluminum, they weigh around 384 grams. And if you're familiar with over-ear Bluetooth headphones, say from Sony, from Bose, from Beats even, they usually weigh about 250 grams. So you're looking
Right.
at 130 something increase over regular Bluetooth over-ear headphones with noise cancellation. Speaking of noise cancellation, you have the same noise canceling and transparency mode found on AirPods Pro, 20 hours of battery life, and a peculiar case that is not really a case insofar as it looks like a purse. It's like a holding pouch for the AirPods Max.
Yeah, it's almost like a wrap. It's like wraps around. It's like a burrito of case. I don't know.
It's like a burrito for your headphones. Yes, these
right.
headphones do not fold like you would fold a pair of Sony headphones or a pair of Beats headphones. You just store them in the case, which is it's not a hard case. It's not a rigid case. It's a soft case that sort of wraps around the headphones. And the unique feature of it is that because of magnets, which as with other Apple products, these headphones feature prominently throughout the whole unit. Magnets are used to attach the ear cups, so you can, in theory, swap the ear pads for different colors. There are 5 different colors available for these headphones, and if you want, you can buy ear pads separately in a different colors at $69 a pop, which is not exactly cheap for replacement ear pads, but hey, these are headphones from Apple, and I'm gonna get to the price shortly. But magnets are also used in the protective case, which is not really protective or a case, but Apple calls it as such. And the case uses magnets to detect when you place the headphones inside.
Right.
And when you do, the headphones will enter an ultra low power mode, meant to allow you to never turn the headphones off. You just put them in the case. They enter this hibernation state of sorts where they are consuming very little power. And then when you remove them from the case again and you put them on, you don't have to manually turn them on. So it's like using AirPods, but instead of having a very portable case that is also quite fun to fiddle with, as the AirPods case is, this looks like a purse or like a bra, as many people have observed.
Right. Well, it's interesting to me about the low power mode, because I've seen conflicting things and different stories about this as to whether you need the case for them to enter low power mode, or whether they will also go into a low power mode once you take them off your head, and maybe they're sitting around for a certain amount of time, although it's not clear.
Not clear.
Yeah, not entirely
also,
clear.
These headphones have a digital crown inspired by the Apple Watch. So this is one of the features that must have changed during the development process, or we don't know the details, of course, but maybe Apple had 2 different versions of these headphones going into production. One of them featuring touch gestures, which obviously didn't make the cut, and the other featuring a digital crown, which is the version, I guess, based on rumors, that won. And so the AirPods Max don't have any kind of touch gesture on the ear cups. Instead, you use a bigger version of the digital crown for the Apple Watch to control volume, to activate Siri, and to control music playback. And I'll tell you, John, I'm actually glad that there's a physical control. One of the things that I was really curious to try, and I never did, with the Microsoft Surface headphones is the control knob that they have on those headphones.
Right.
And this is like you have a small physical knob that you can twist and turn and touch and hold to control music playback and Siri and the volume, of course. And there's a separate button, I think, for noise cancellation and transparency mode.
That's right. Yeah.
Lastly, these headphones cost $550.
Yeah, which is a lot more than was rumored. Rumors were pegging them at about $350, which I would say is kind of a sweet spot for a lot of headphones, or a lot of Beats models, Sony models, Bose models, that all fall in that kind of $300 to $400 range.
Yeah. So what I think is going to be interesting to see is, does the price tag and what Apple is saying in terms of the performance of these headphones suggest that Apple is sort of replicating what they did with the HomePod years ago? Are they, in a way, entering the high-end audio space with the product ostensibly advertised to consumers, but really sounding much better than most consumers are used to in 2020? That's an interesting question. I guess we'll have to see, for the final reviews to come out. We only got first impressions and unboxing videos yesterday from really a handful of publications and YouTube creators, not a lot of them.
Right.
But these headphones are shipping next week. I suppose there's going to be more reviews next week, and we'll be able to finally test them ourselves. So we'll see.
Yeah, we will. You're right. It was a very limited set of people who received these, and the people that had them only had them for less than 24 hours before the embargo lifted. So they very much were first impressions, and we have a roundup of those on the website. Yep. The other thing that's coming next week is Fitness Plus. And, this is a service that was announced back in September, I believe, and it's finally showing up on Monday, December 14th with 10 categories of exercises. And it's got integration with the Apple Watch, which is dynamic. It'll display that on the screen as you're doing the exercises. And it's also kind of deeply integrated with Apple Music with special playlists that you can listen to during the workout or afterwards if you find one that you particularly like. One thing that I thought was interesting, in addition to just kind of recapping on the site what that was all about when the announcement came out this week, there was an interview with Jay Blahnik, who's formerly of Nike, and he's in charge of Fitness Plus. And he talked to the Wall Street Journal all about what Apple's strategy and thoughts were behind this service. And it's pretty clear listening to him in this interview reading about this interview, that it's designed for beginners. It's designed to be able to get involved easily without necessarily having to have any equipment. I think there are some exercises that, it'd be helpful to have a mat or helpful to have some weights. But besides that, there's very little necessary equipment for them. And they're also going to try with the app, and I'm very curious about this in the fitness app, to try to intelligently suggest workouts to people based on what they've done before. And in the interview, it was very clear that it's not necessarily going to be like, well, Federico does a yoga exercise, and that he's going to be suggested now the intermediate yoga exercise. It's more than that. It's meant to try to gently broaden your horizons and broaden the types of exercise that you're doing, so that you get a more well-rounded experience. So I'm looking forward to this. I mean, it's, I'm here in Chicago. It's cold. It's not a lot of fun to go out for walks or jogs anymore. So I've got a little area set up in my home, and I'm planning to use Fitness Plus over the holidays.
Very nice. Very nice. Also on MacStories this week, I shared a couple of shortcuts, if you'll allow me, John, to share the details. The first one is called Short Switch. This is a shortcut for your Nintendo Switch, and it allows you to more easily pull in screenshots and video recordings from your console to your iPhone and iPad. So this takes advantage of a new feature in the latest Switch console firmware, version 11.0, that was released, I believe, on November 30th. Nintendo added a way for you to import on your, as they call them, smart devices,
right,
screenshots and videos from the Nintendo Switch. And by default, the system that Nintendo designed requires you to scan 2 QR codes to connect your phone or your tablet directly to the Nintendo Switch via local Wi-Fi network. And to open a specific page in Safari, this page in Safari shows you the screenshots or videos that you've marked for sharing, and then you need to manually tap and hold each one to save them to your local photo library. And I was interested in this when I saw how it worked. A light immediately went off in my brain when I noticed that Nintendo was creating a local Wi-Fi network. Mm-hmm. And so I started thinking, is there a way for me to automate this process and to make it faster? Because if it's creating a local Wi-Fi network, it means there's going to be there's going to be an IP address that I can inspect. It means that there's going to be a web page where these files are stored, and if I'm transferring those files wirelessly from my console to the iPhone, it means that those images, they must be hosted somewhere with a unique and local URL. And so I did some digging around. The story on the site has all the details. But essentially, I figured out how Nintendo was creating a local web server on the Nintendo Switch. And so I created a shortcut called Short Switch that lets you skip basically half of the steps required by Nintendo. All you need to do now with Short Switch installed is scan the first QR code, let the iPhone or the iPad connect to your Nintendo Switch, and then it works on its own. Because you can run Short Switch as a personal automation in Shortcuts. The only trigger you need to set is when my device is connected to the Switch Wi-Fi network, run Short Switch. And when you do that, you will see a menu with some options saying, do you want to save all of the screenshots, even 10 of them at once to the Photos app, or do you want to copy them? Do you want to save them to files? You have a bunch of options. And I think it's a very nice and fast way to basically cut the entire process in half. Instead of having to connect and open a page and save each item individually, you just run the shortcut once and you save everything to Photos and you're done. So that's Short Switch. If you're the kind of person who likes to share multiple screenshots on Twitter or other places, I think this is gonna be a really nice utility to have.
Yeah, I really like this shortcut, Federico, because it's one of those things where you can see why Nintendo did it the way they did, because it works with a lot of different devices, but it's not the most efficient process on the iPhone, which I think, it's enough friction that a lot of people may not share those screenshots, but now it's so easy. I mean, people should try the shortcut and go for it, because it's very easy to download those and then share them wherever you want.
Nice, thank you. The second shortcut is an update to Apple Frames, my popular shortcut to put screenshots of taken on the iPhone and iPad inside physical device frames from Apple. And people have been asking when you're gonna add support for the iPhone 12 Pro Max and the iPhone 12 Mini, and finally Apple Frames has support for those two devices. You can, whether you're an iPhone 12 Pro Max user or an iPhone 12 Mini user, you can now use Apple Frames to prettify your screenshots before sharing them on social media or publishing them on websites or putting them on the App Store. There's all kinds of users of Apple Frames, from bloggers to nerds to developers and marketers. All kinds of people use it, which is always nice to hear from people who appreciate my work on this shortcut. And yeah, it now supports the full lineup of iPhone 12 products released this year by Apple.
Yeah, I can't even tell you how many times I just forgot that it didn't support the Pro Max for a while, and I'd be asking you, why isn't this working? And you would tell me why, yes. So it's good that it's out there. All right, Federico, let me tell you about the Level Touch, because the Level Touch is a HomeKit-enabled smart lock that I've been testing for about 3 or 4 weeks now. And what's really remarkable about it is that it's so ordinary looking. I mean, I shouldn't say it's not ordinary in the sense that it's plain. It's very nice as a piece of hardware that you attach to your door. It looks attractive, but it's not one of those giant clunky smart locks that you sometimes see advertised. It looks just like an ordinary lock because all the smarts are embedded inside the lock mechanism, and they very cleverly even hide the battery for this inside the bolt itself that goes into your door jamb. You just screw off the end of it and drop a I guess it's a 3-volt lithium battery into there, and it works great. I mean, I had no trouble getting it installed. The one caveat that I had that I put in the review is that, the thing about a smart lock is you're not there to kind of jiggle the door or push the door a little harder if your door doesn't line up exactly right. It has to line up correctly for the bolt to go in smoothly. It does have it does have a motor in there, and it can kind of push its way in a little bit, but it's not the same as if you were there twisting it by hand, or with a key. So but barring that, as long as you have a good setup with your door, it's a fantastic thing to add to your HomeKit setup, because what I've been doing is things like I have the door automatically unlock like 5 minutes before my wife shows up from work. And I also, when the door is unlocked, I turn on the lights by the back door so you can see what you're doing. There's a lot of little things, little touches like that are super easy. One of the ones that I came up with in just the last week that I really like is that it's a personal automation, so that as soon as I disconnect my iPhone from CarPlay in my car, I'm in the garage, it unlocks the door. So nice. By the time I make it to the back door, it's already unlocked. I just open the door. So it's a neat lock, but because it resembles a regular lock, It's not going to be unattractive in your home. Plus, it works just like a regular old lock too. You can just lock it by turning the lock. So anybody in your home who isn't really into automation, they don't have to be. They can use a key. They can use their hands. They can, just use the lock like you would any other. So I've been really happy with it, and it's worth checking out. All right, Federico, this week on Club MacStories, the newsletter came out on Friday, and we had a bunch of stuff. We had MacStories Unplugged, which was kind of a continuation of our discussion during App Stories, which I might as well mention right here because that's kind of next in our notes, which was episode 197, which was part of our series of Workflows Revisited, where we talked about note-taking. And we focused on Craft, which is a new note-taking app, relatively new, still only a couple of months old, that you and I have been using a lot. And in App Stories, we talked a lot about how we're using it personally, just individually for things we're doing for work, things we're doing in our personal lives, that sort of thing. But on Unplugged this week, for the club, we talked about how we're using it for projects at MacStories, because we've got some big projects coming up, and you and I needed a tool where we could collaborate on notes for that and planning, and Craft has been fantastic for that. We also, this week, I did a collection of modern note-taking apps, which, there's been a real renaissance of note-taking apps in the last, I'd say, year to 2 years. And there are a lot of great options out there. So, we've been talking about Craft a lot the last couple of weeks, but I wanted to highlight a few of the other ones that are good options as well. And you had a shortcut, which you found a good way to create single-page PDFs of MacStories weekly issues turn them into PDFs and save them and keep it, right?
That's right. Yes, I wanted to move hundreds of PDFs to keep it for the MacStories weekly and monthly log newsletters. And so I came up with this shortcut, which is really two shortcuts. The second one, as you mentioned, it does exactly that. It takes a bunch of links and converts them to PDF using one of Keepit's new actions for iOS 14. And it archives everything as a single-page PDF, which, by the way, the single-page generation of Keepit is vastly superior to the same option that you have in Safari when you take a screenshot. And in the screenshot UI, you select full page. In my experience, Apple's own version of full page capture, it fails to work with longer web pages, such as any of my reviews, for example. Even
right.
The iPad Air review, it seems like anything beyond 5,000 words, it gets cut off with the full page capture of the screenshot method, essentially. But with Keepit, it doesn't matter. You can generate super long PDF documents, single page, doesn't care. It works fantastically, really, really well done. But the first shortcut, however, was an answer to the problem of, well, how do you assemble that list of links? Mm-hmm. And my issue was that on the Club MacStories archive, the list of newsletters is presented in reverse chronological order from latest to oldest to, make it easy for people to find the most recent issues of MacStories Weekly. But the thing is, I wanted to generate PDF documents starting from the opposite way. I needed to start from the oldest, so that those would have a creation date before the latest issues. So I needed to reverse the list, basically, and I made a shortcut that does exactly that. Now, reversing lists is a typical programming concept. Right. However, shortcuts doesn't have any built-in actions for reversing lists. I needed to make my own. This is like a technique that I guess I will explain more in depth in the future, maybe next year. But it's one of those techniques that once you wrap your head around, it can come in handy in a variety of different shortcuts in a variety of scenarios. So, if you wanna use this to generate PDF documents from any list of links on any web page, you can use it.
All right, Federico, let me tell you about our sponsor for this week's episode and all of MacStories, and that is Halide Mark II. Halide is the sort of elegant, intuitive app that casual photographers appreciate, but it also offers the sophisticated, advanced features that expert photographers demand. The app was created by three friends who share a passion for photography and believe that apps should be exceptionally well built and designed simple to use, and free of any kind of nonsense. The makers of Halide understand that advanced features don't have to come at the expense of usability. Halide's beautiful interface relies on gestures, and all of the manual controls that pro users expect are here, but they're neatly tucked away, Federico, so that they're out of sight and they don't get in your way. It's a carefully crafted balance that sets Halide apart from other camera apps. The app supports all the latest iPhone technologies, like Apple's new Pro RAW format on the iPhone 12 Pro, and Live XDR, which is extended dynamic range exposure tools, ensuring that you're always at the forefront of what's new with iPhone photography. They've even got a 10-day course built right into the app to help you hone your photography skills. The app is free to download and try with an option to subscribe or buy the app with a one-time upfront purchase. Get ready for Pro RAW today, which is coming very soon with iOS 14.3 by downloading Halide Mark II, the best pro camera app for the iPhone. Our thanks to Halide for their support of Unwind and MacStories. All right, Federico, why don't you start off with your picks, your Unwind picks of the week?
All right, my pick this week is an Apple Arcade game that I've been playing recently. I finally found the time to play some more Apple Arcade games. It is The Last Campfire. So this is a lovely puzzle game, sort of puzzle adventure game, I guess, by Hello Games. You may know these folks because they also make No Man's Sky, which won at the Game Awards Best Ongoing Game, which was totally a surprise. It's refreshing to see the No Man's Sky after a bit of a rocky start 3 years ago, maybe 4.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah,
it's been a while. It's the team at Hello Games. They've been putting out some fantastic updates. They've basically revolutionized No Man's Sky. Anyway, The Last Campfire, made by the No Man's Sky team, so Hello Games, and some of the creative minds behind an old Nintendo Wii game called Lost Winds. I loved Lost Winds. It was so cute and lovely. And you can see some of that aesthetic in The Last Campfire. Now, The Last Campfire, I think it's an excellent game for a weekend. Like, I believe you can finish this game in a couple of days. It's got a lovely setting. It looks really, really nice and sweet and cute. Like the graphics and the colors. It's a very warm and lovely game. It's based on controlling this character. And here's, I guess, one of my negative notes about this game. I'm about 3-4 hours into the game. I'm still not sure I understand what it is about. You control this creature that's supposedly trying to get to the afterlife. I'm not sure. And I think they could have done a better job maybe explaining the story. I'm not sure what the journey is about. In any case, and you solve these puzzles, right? When you move around these beautiful locations and you solve these puzzles based on logic and like geometric shapes, buttons, levers, the usual stuff. Most of them are quite easy. I found a couple of them that were really challenging, and it took me like 30 minutes to figure them out. Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe the game could use a better balance. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm dumb with puzzle games. I'm not sure. In any case, I really enjoyed this game on Apple Arcade. I played both on the iPad and on the Apple TV. It looks it's relaxing, cute, doesn't have any drama, doesn't have any blood, doesn't have any, creepy monsters and zombies. I don't know if you watched the Game Awards, John, but it seems like every single game was about shooting zombies this year.
Yeah, I noticed
this
that.
game doesn't have guns or zombies. It's not open world. It's a straight up puzzle adventure game. So yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, when I saw that first clip, that I know exactly the clip that turned you off, I bet, early in the Video Game Awards when there was just hordes of zombies and blood splattering everywhere very, very early on in the program. And I was like, well, I don't know. We're coming off of 2020. I'm not ready to be shooting zombies.
This is exactly the reason why I've been holding off on playing The Last of Us Part 2. Just because, I don't know, do I really want to play a game that, one of the main plot devices of that game's story is there's been a plague and an outbreak of a virus. Okay, it's just, I don't know, maybe next year.
Yeah, a little too on the nose still. Yeah, absolutely. All right, for this week, my unwind pick is something I haven't picked before, which is a comic book. And I picked a comic this week because I've been kind of re-exploring media consumption on my iPad Air, which, I remembered that one of Jason Snell's recommendations was that the 11-inch iPad Pro was the best, kind of the perfect size for comic books, just in terms of what the standard layout is for a comic. And so I hadn't read a comic book in a long time, and I thought, all right, I'm going to browse Comixology a little bit. And as I was looking around, I noticed that there's a brand new series based on Black Widow. And Black Widow is a movie I was actually looking forward to in 2020, and I think it's slated now to come out in May. So there's still a long haul to go before that movie actually comes out. So I thought, you know what, a comic book about Black Widow might be a great thing to dip into. And then I noticed that it's written by Kelly Thompson, who I'm familiar with from Twitter, a great writer of comics, and is drawn by Elena Casagrande. And so yeah, the art really caught my eye more than anything else, and I was familiar with Kelly Thompson, and so I figured that the story would be good too. And I haven't been disappointed. There are only about 4 issues out so far. I've read the first 2, and they're really great. They just kind of immediately dive into an action scene, and then spin off into a mystery that you're left with a cliffhanger in each issue as to what is really going on with Black Widow in this story. And I've really enjoyed it, even though I'm only a short way through it. I don't want to really go any more deeply into the plot than that because I don't want to provide any spoilers. But if you like great artwork and storytelling, this Black Widow series looks like it's going to be a real treat. And I've the first 2, who knows how long it's going to go on, but the first 2 issues are fantastic. All right, Federico, that is all we have in terms of content for this past week, but we've got a little something coming up next week that I think you ought to tease.
There's the MacStories Selects Awards 2020 coming on Monday on MacStories. We will announce all the winners of the MacStories Selects Awards. You can go on my Twitter. I posted a teaser of the physical awards that winners will be receiving this year as well for the second year in a row. We produced a series of really lovely physical awards that John has been busy taking pictures of this past couple of days. And we will announce all the winners and the runners-up on Monday on MacStories. There's also going to be a special episode of App Stories all about the winners and the runners-up of the MacStories Selects Award. So it's happening. It's coming Monday. Save the date. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to definitely be fun. We've been working on this for quite a while now, and the Club MacStories members actually voted for the Reader's Choice Award. So there's 7 that have been picked by the MacStories team and 1 that was picked by the club members. So looking forward to revealing all of that on Monday. All right, Federico. Listeners can find both of us all the time over at MacStories.net. I think on Connected you would refer to that as MacStories.net. Is that right? Is that how you do it?
No, the accent joke, please. No, please.
I'm sorry. The syllables joke. No, I won't.
Oh my God, no.
I won't start with that. All right. You can also find Federico on Twitter and Instagram. He's at Viticci. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees. JOHNVOORHWS. Talk to you next Friday, Federico.
Ciao, John.
And I would suggest too to make sure you see there's some bonus content. If you go to the TV Plus channel, you'll see that there's a making of Tiny World, which shows how the photographers got down to this really small level and were able to film these different animals. And that part of it to me is as enjoyable as actually seeing the documentary itself, because it's just neat to see how they actually accomplished all this. So, I find these kind of shows somewhat relaxing. I mean, I just felt like watching something where I didn't even have to follow a story necessarily. I could just watch some beautiful photography go by, and it was good for that. So I recommend it. All right, Federico, that is it for this week of Unwind. Again, thank you to CardioBot for sponsoring the show this week. And of course, we'll be back next Friday with another episode, rounding up what is going to be a very big week at MacStories. Of course, you can always find me and Federico over there writing. Federico is also on Twitter and Instagram, where he's at Viticci. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees. JOHNVOORHWS. Talk to you next Friday, Federico.
Ciao, John.